Now we are going to explain the dynamics of this group session, which basically is that we want to know your perception of a piece as a whole.
My conception of peace is when a community or a society have different rules or laws that have a good way to have the power to live, and also to have the different rights and duties in order to pursue the peace, not just for
Y es
one
como
person,
precisamente esa
it's
capacidad que tienen o
for the
las
whole
personas
community.
o las comunidades o las sociedades precisamente como para, ¿cómo decirlo? Como para llegar a un punto medio, un punto de consenso como, digamos, en general.
I would just say that peace is just that the result of a community coming together, working their problems out.
Okay, for answering the first question about what is the most popular conception of peace, we can see the answers in our focal groups. We had answers like the peace is when a society has rules that facilitates or elicites the well-being, or the peace is a constant process, or finally, it is the scale of a society to get an state and keep this state. And it can be configured like the Galton's perspective about positive peace, hmm? Like the efforts and actions to encourage peace or doing structural changes in the societies. And yeah, it can be very similar to the participants' answer.
Yeah, that brings just more conflict, you know. So like, if you want to like solve something, solve an issue, a public affair, something that is affecting your community or your country, violence is never gonna fix it. Violence is just gonna end up, you know, hurting more people and extending that conflict.
Un poco la historia es que en general se presenta como algo inevitable y es que cuando las personas sienten que a través de la diplomacia o los procesos establecidos no se puede lograr un cambio, el cambio que ellos desean, pues digamos la respuesta un poco más natural y más primitiva es tender hacia la violencia. Desde algo tan pequeño como simplemente de pronto salir a, no sé, de pronto a gritar en las calles y, no sé, romper algún tipo de, o destruir algún tipo de, no sé, estatua, alguna cosa que represente algo, hasta ya puntos más extremos.
En las sociedades se va a dar lugar al derecho a la revolución. Siempre van a haber un grupo de personas que no van a estar de acuerdo con lo que el sistema impone y por lo tanto
Confrontation as a means of responding to the imbalance in power and against the imposition of the system, we find that there are those who don't justify violence and their thinking is peacemaking in order to achieve a greater number of structural change, changing the aggressive attitudes in the conflict participants. On another side, there are people who don't agree with violence, but that definitely it becomes the means to respond to the imposition of a third party with power, a peace enforcement vision. From this perspective, violence isn't only assumed as a necessary evil, but it is also legitimized.
Understand what the mind is, how it works, and how it differs in different people. You know, every single person is different. So psychology has such an important role to get to peace in a society by, you know, trying to understand what a community needs, how a community works, and yeah, what processes are going to take that community to be, you know, in peace and living together, coexisting, and no one hurting each other. So
According to the peace building, we found in the minimalistic, maximalist, and intermedium that only one of the participants explained something that we could categorize as intermedium. When he said, violence is never the answer. I like to find a middle point to solve the differences. We categorize this peace building as an intermedium because that's a way that this participant tried to find the peace building. It's not as basic as the minimalistic. It's not more social change as maximalistic. It's a way very realistic, and is the best solution to solve the problems. Okay, when we make the analysis from the other participants, it is not clear if their peace building were minimalistic, maximalistic, or intermediate.